2024 was a very busy year for me gaming-wise, and almost every game was amazing. I didn't play as many new games as I would have liked, but this is also the first time I've started playing suggested games and playing games with content creation in mind. It wasn't a bad shift, just different, mostly because your guys' recommendations have been amazing. At least most of them. Sorry, Lobotomy Corporation fans, it's not for me. Great OST though. But letdowns aside, let's kick off the honorable mentions with a game that was recommended by the community. Dendara is what you get when you take a really cool movement concept and combine it with Brazilian lore and slam them together into a Metroidvania. The movement in this game is so satisfying, especially once you really get zooming and memorize the level layouts. Everything in this game feels like it was crafted with passion and care, and I really enjoyed it, even if I did have a hard time understanding what was actually happening. My wife and I started playing the Monster Prom series together, and it was a blast. I really like how each game iterates on the last and keeps the dating interesting and varied. I also really love how you can play cooperative or competitive in the multiplayer mode depending on your mood without it actually being a setting. It's very cool game design. And as a couple who are both unburdened by preference, this is basically an all-you-can-enjoy buffet. I actually might have a video's worth of thoughts on this series, but I want to keep this entry brief, so another time. Anyway, Zoe is best girl and Scott is best boy. Fight me in the comments. Nightmare Kart feels like a fever dream that shouldn't have happened, but I am so glad it did. The only thing more wild than Nightmare Kart's gameplay is its development history. It's such a great love letter to the first generation of 3D kart racers that I grew up with, and I'm just so happy that it was basically willed/memed into existence. Solo developer Lilith Walther really knocked it out of the park with this one, and I cannot wait to see her next Unhinged project. Okay, top 5 time, and let's start the big boy list off with a bang. I am once again embracing space fascism, and this time it's not even Warhammer 40k's fault. Like pretty much everyone else at launch, I got swept up in the thrill of this game. Everyone coming together to save Super Earth from encroaching oblivion while helping facilitate very necessary expansion was truly a magical thing to be part of. The presentation of this game is just so on point. Everything from the gameplay to the dark satire to the world building, it's so easy to buy into the hero narrative this game builds around its very expendable Helldivers, and that's something pretty special and scary when examined just a little closely. Like, I know I'm dropping into a hell pit of bugs, but damn if that music doesn't get me excited for every single landing. The thrill of evac, the camaraderie after a difficult mission.
Nice to feel like I'm helping the world, the universe actually.
Unparalleled. Kind of like when Overwatch 1 came out, I feel like this game was best experienced at launch when everyone was still goofing around and not taking things too seriously. The community and meta-narrative around this game at that time was just such a joy to be part of. Like most multiplayer games, however, a correct way to play starts to emerge over time, and deviation from that standard is seen as undesirable. It doesn't quite have that secret sauce that Deep Rock Galactic has that kept things chill, I still had a blast with this one though, and killing mechs and bugs, and now zombies, on another world with a few friends can't be beat. And speaking of killing bugs on another world, as a professional software developer, Factorio feels like an apex predator for my kind. The hardest part about making the worst guide to Factorio was having to actually stop playing the game to work on the guide. I can't count how many times I booted this game up to get a shot for the video, only to realize like an hour had passed and I was just playing the game. Nearly every time it sucked me in with its optimization-based fun. Factorio has really made me appreciate this nascent genre of automate 'em ups, and it makes me really excited to try some of the other games in the space like Satisfactory. And now with the Space Age DLC released, well, the guide might need an update. Really, I just want an excuse to play this game some more. As a programmer, I am constantly amazed at how well this game runs, and my hat goes off to the development team for making something so impressively optimized while also being heavily moddable. My personal feelings about the lead developer aside, I can't deny that he and his team have created a masterwork. Also, someone did a code review on my Queertorio mod up on GitHub, and I found that to simultaneously be more disturbing and hilarious than any comment I've ever gotten. I enjoyed this game so much that I'm actually looking into a new video format just so I can have an excuse to make a video on the DLC. Yes, I am assembling a Suicide Squad. Is it a good idea? I don't know, and I don't care. I just really want to play the DLC. Anyway, here's some behind the scenes video of me recording the Factory Must Grow section of the guide in my car in the middle of nowhere because I didn't want to yell in my apartment building.
The factory must grow!
So putting a DLC up here might be a little weak, but the sheer size and scale of this lad is something else. The DLC feels about the same size as the Dark Souls game, so I decided to put it on the list. That being said, it didn't land as high as I'd have hoped. Like, I really wanted this to take number one. A lot of problems I had with the base game felt more apparent in the DLC and sometimes even exacerbated. Elven damage just felt a little off, and like map size was underused or poorly used monster wise, and some of the areas were just so poorly optimized on PC that it led to stuttering and ignored inputs. This is bad on its own, but unacceptable on the final boss, which is where the issues were most apparent, especially when the fight was as overtuned as it was on release. And yes, that fight was overtuned on release. I beat Melania at RL1 with daggers and cleared all bosses in Dark Souls 3 at SL1 up to NG +5, and I'm saying it was overtuned. Skill issue me all you want, it wasn't fun.
It's finally over.
But even with all that whinging, Shadows of the Erdtree shows us why From Software is the master of the Souls-like. That feeling of being lost in a living world and being given the opportunity to explore is recaptured and then some. The new weapons and weapon types are a blast, most of the legacy dungeons are some of the best in the Soulsborne Ring-like series, and a lot of their bosses are some of the most challenging and fun that they've ever made. Honestly, Bale and Mesmir could have carried this DLC alone. Is it everything I was hoping for? No, but it's still more From slop that I can shovel into my body, so hey, congrats on placing third. Guess I'll just have to wait until they make a game that's better than Dark Souls 3. Man, what will it take just to find that special day? I got bullied into playing Doki Doki Literature Club for a charity stream in Spooktober, and wow. I know I'm very late to the party here, but wow. I'm a massive weeb, so when I first saw these girls who were definitely over the age of 18 fawning over a faceless nothing player character, I thought I knew what I was in for. I knew one of the twists, but damn. I was not prepared. I'm not going to talk about this game any further. It's best experienced blind. So if you've somehow lived under a rock like myself, I would highly recommend checking it out. I absolutely loved this game, but just take those warnings on boot up seriously if you're sensitive to those kinds of things. Okay, so let's back up. The first Hotline Miami is an all-time great game for me. It's one of those games that hit just right at just the right time. Now, last year I played Ocho and I put it in the honorable mentions. I said I was looking for something to scratch that Hotline Miami itch, and it came very close, being carried heavily by its soundtrack and sound design, but ultimately coming up just short due to it stumbling into some of the same pitfalls that plagued Hotline Miami 2. I kind of accepted I wasn't going to find that perfect combo of gameplay, grit, and music that I was craving. Well, this year, Intravenous flew under my radar upon release, so I can't tell you how shocked I was when I got it for free during a sale to promote its sequel. This is one of those rare games where I have almost zero notes. Story, dark, gruesome, twisty, and intriguing. The gameplay, tight, logical, paced as you please, and nail-biting as hell. The music, Zitrillor, show 'em. The level design in this game is insane. There's so many different paths and ways to approach any given mission. And earlier when I said that the gameplay is paced to your liking, what I mean by that is that you can do this guns blazing or silent as a ghost. Both are valid playstyles and offer their own unique challenges and trade-offs. And this is made all the more intense by smarter than average enemy AI. Enemies in most games will just beeline it towards you, but enemies in this game at least have a small sense of self-preservation and won't enter a room if they know that you have a solid line of sight on them. Instead, Instead, they'll favor flanking or waiting for backup so they can barrage in all at once. They even communicate their plans to one another so that you can plan your next move around what they're planning, and it's so cool. The gunplay or lack thereof if you're doing stealth feels amazing, and the fact that you can approach every level any way you want is a feat of level design I don't think I've seen executed this well. Even games like Dishonored or Deus Ex, I often felt like I was being funneled into a specific way of playing a specific level, but this game's just like, nah, go for it, and it works so well. So if you have any love for games like Hotline Miami or stealth action games, or you just think this looks cool, you should check it out ASAP. You will not be disappointed. Anyway, I'm off to play the sequel. Peace. Wait, hold up, don't go nowhere. I want to talk to you guys. I never thought that my little hobby that I started during the Great Shut-In would turn into something that reached so many people. I mean, last year and this year, yeah, I don't know what to say other than thank you. Your comments and encouragement have kept this channel going and helped motivate me to drag some of the more difficult projects over the finish line. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so very, very much. Oh, and one more thing. There were 2 games that I played this year that should have been in the top spots in this list, but I intentionally left out. Why? Because it's my list and I will do whatever I want, but because I have a lot more to say about them. So, look forward to a guide to RimWorld somewhere in 2025. And I've been tinkering with a new format, so consider this a formal warning for when I inflict Max Gentleman's sexy business upon you. But before that, I do think that there is something I've been teasing for a while that I need to deliver first. But until I edit that war crime together, here's to 2025. Let me know what the best things you played this year were in the comments. Until then, have a great day and stay safe out there.